apps and using them isn't something that gets discussed enough in my view, because they're so important to your wider customer base. That's kind of how most people are going to access Power BI content. So why do we not talk about them, and why do we kind of leave them to their own devices? So you want to be a Power BI developer. We can see it cross highlights, fact and dimension, the visual calculations. So we've got time intelligence within there. Let's just get right down to it. Let's start simple. Here we've got the app screen, okay, where we're publishing an app. Okay, one of the things I wanted to show you is just to be aware of these things. There's a couple of things that we've got around here. So we can put custom information in, we can put links in, we can put support sites in, we can tick to install the app automatically, which makes it available to people immediately. I'd recommend doing this if it's a core line of business app that you've got. And then you've got items to allow customers to make copies of it. That relates to them actually being able to do a little bit more. They need potentially different licenses for. So just double check your audiences, what they need to do, other things like that. But certainly those are two settings that you might want to tick. Okay. Once you've done that, the core thing and the core piece that people need to understand is they want to access apps, and they should come under My Apps. If it's been promoted to you already, you'll get it under My Apps. Otherwise, potentially, you have to go to Apps and then add an app. So if you go to Apps, let me zoom out of here, Get Apps on the far right, you see here's a list of the apps that we have published as well, and that I can then go to. They do appear above any of the other ones that appear, but it can be a bit of an odd experience. So think about how your customers are going to access the app. When they access the app, let's just go to the one we've just published. Here, you need to think, what's it going to look like? So for this, we've got our dashboard as our menu system, and we have it in such a way that people can easily export or understand what's happening content-wise. And that was the purpose of it. But again, you need to focus and be aware. How are people going to interact with the data sets that we've got? Are the visuals going to meet their requirements? And do things work the way that we would expect them to work, or the way that they would expect them to work? So here, am I getting the right filter structures that my client base needs for it? Do we want to have everything listed on the left-hand side, or should we be hiding it all in folders? There's lots of items there, and there's lots of things as well where you can display things that are hidden and potentially experiment with, well, we don't actually show it on here, but they can access it. There's not a one-size-fits-all argument for any of this stuff, I find, especially not once we get into app land, where it needs to work for a non-technical audience, and it needs to just be easy for them to access. So have a think, be sure whenever you are going to prepare apps, that before you fully release to the customers, that you clicked through and you do these on some online sessions as well. So don't be afraid, set up a chat, discuss what you're doing with your customer base, and make sure they are happy, they support the idea, and that the app is meeting their requirements. Because if it's not meeting their requirements, it won't be a success in your organization. So apps are easy, okay? They're a nice end user access point that allow a really simple way of accessing apps, because they don't have to be aware of all the report structures that are there, how everything links together, potentially even which report page do I need to go to. Because if you get your dashboard structures right, or the menus that your apps are going to be on top of, it's really easy and intuitive for people to go down and find the content that they need. Trying to embed everything into one or two reports just does not work. Okay? Use multiple reports, multiple dashboards within your app structures to help navigate to the insights that your customer base are going to need. If you like what you see, get in touch with Geordie Consulting. They're here to help. They've got the experience and the know-how to help take your business data to the next level.